Right, steady. Yes, we turn our attention now to the forthcoming World Economic Forum. We're joined now by Fatai Folarin, who is the head of tax and regulatory services, Akintola Williams, Deloitte. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
You will be at this conference, won't you?
Definitely I'll be.
But what do you look forward to in this conference?
Well, the economic impact to the country is very key. So I'm looking forward to the effect that it's going to have on the economy, particularly from the synergy that is going to come around with it. For example, if you look at the theme of the conference, it's all about jobs creation. Yeah. So, and taking it to look at the Nigerian current GDP position, you're going to ask yourself as to what are the benefits that we can derive from this. I mean, the releasing of the new GDP figures has actually exposed Nigeria further into the market, to the whole world, as to the level of potentials that we see.
Is that a positive or a negative?
Well, it has its positive and negative impact.
Okay.
But the positive impact is much that we really need to dwell into. Because why you need to dwell into the positive impact is that we need to move this economy forward. We need to be able to have a direction as to how well we want to move the economy.
In terms of designing policies that will actualize that.
In terms of every Nigerian coming to the reality that we have a big economy that we need to protect. I mean, whatever we do in this country, we're the country agent that should move forward the economy. I mean, it's not possible for anybody to come to Nigeria and say, we want to come and develop your country for you. So having that figure and then having influence of people coming to Nigeria now or asking questions as to what are those things that he can do with us. Now, the World Economic Forum is going to prevent that platform for everybody to realize that Nigeria has so much potentials, and we'd start talking less of our potentials and start looking forward into the future where we can say we're now annexing that potentials. Because without annexing it, we're not just doing it.
And do you think that we, to some extent, how ready do you think we are to perhaps take the gains of that if we're to look a little beyond it now, in the sense that job creation and skills sometimes work together? Because at the end of the day, if, they say, let's bring a certain amount of investment into the country, you will require the requisite skills to fill up. Have we made that arrangement to ensure that our skill set fits what is coming?
Well, from my experience of working, you probably realize that we have more than necessary university that can take us to the next level. We turn out graduates every day, every year, every month. You find out that we have most Nigerians that have skills, both within and in the diaspora, that can definitely come back to Nigeria and say, look, we have a part to play in this economy. And the way you can do that is to start opening up the country. That's what WEF will do. It's going to open up because the whole world is going to bring searchlights and cameras to Nigeria to see what's going on. What are those potentials in this country that we can annex? And lately, from my experience, you see that we keep on having requests from people all over the world asking questions. What's going on? Tell us this, and they're asking questions, even particularly from the real figure that was released from the GDP figure. Definitely, GDP has its own benefit and this, in terms of what are those things it covers.
So that raised the expectations.
So it's raising expectations. So when you raise expectations, you also bring in, the desire to perform. So what is going to come out of the government is now to realize that the economy is no longer just within the government. The private sector is going to make a lot of impact. Look at that GDP rebasing figure that came out recently, when we woke up and moved Nigeria economy to the biggest in Africa. The next question you want to ask yourself is, what are those components that constituted these numbers? The first thing you need to look at is the role of the service sector as it is done, and then what manufacturing has done within this the scope. Then you ask yourself, it means we have a lot of gap. Even from infrastructure development, we are not yet investing fully in infrastructure. And the reason why we're not doing that is because we still have a lot of challenges within this country. But those challenges are what the World Economic Forum can open up, and then anybody that wants to invest in the country will start asking government, we want to do this. So how do we move it forward?
What was your thought about the capacity and capability of the private sector before that rebasing of GDP and afterwards, having seen the indices?
Well, first of all, you need to realize that the new GDP figure is not about something new. What we've not done is to use the right parameters to evaluate and assess our economic potentials and in terms of the output that we have within the country. But what it has done is that the other countries have done this. You have South Africa have done it at different times. Ghana, just next neighbor, have done it. So, but what it has done is that, okay, let's put our economy on the right platform in terms of how do we evaluate it, such that we can say, okay, we're using the same platform as it is done in many other countries. Now, that one aside, then you ask yourself, the next question we need to ask ourselves is, how do we annex these resources? I see the World Economic Forum as one of those opportunities to open us up. I see the World Economic Forum as an opportunity to tell us as Nigerians that we have a challenge on our hands and we need to rise up to those challenges.
The question will be, here's the people still do not understand how it works with conferences. When people talk about leveraging and how conferences open up a country, most people still do not see how that happens. Would you kind of explain a little more?
Yeah, first of all, you need to realize that most of us cannot follow the trend the same way. We also need to allow people to key in. Some people come into a process later, some are the champions. So while we segment ourselves in that direction, then we need to do, first of all, is to ask this champion that are carrying the baton of pushing the country forward, continue to implement policies that will be transparent for the later joiners to actually agree that there's a process. Now, whatever we talk about, look at this country today. We're not the same country 10 years ago. We may have social factors, we may have issues with our infrastructure, but gradually we are moving in a direction that we believe we can move forward and take this country to where it is. For example, if you look at us now, we are no longer going to be regarded as low-level economy with what we've done, because you are like a medium-sized economy now. So thank God for even the past government that we even got the debt forgiveness that we had in this country. But with this recent GDP figures, nobody is going to negotiate that with you anymore in the World Economic Forum. They're going to look at us as a economy that is developing, that is on the path of progress. And that's a challenge for government. That's a challenge for you and I as Nigerians to make sure that we believe in this economy.
You're a business-minded person.
Yes.
What effect do you think security usually has on the thinking of investors, would-be investors?
It's one of the important issues they consider. I mean, that's one of the things that we get day in, day out, a question as to, are we sure that security? And when you look at it in the realm of the World Economic Forum, it's one of the challenges people address.
Security of investment and all.
But it's not the security of investment. The security of people
lives and property?
Lives and property of people that is coming for the WEF. Let's take it from that perspective. But I'm going to ask you a question. Because of the security situation, are we going to say we're not going to move the economy forward? That's not an answer. Many countries of the world have experienced situations like this. We knew what was happening with the Northern Ireland and the UK and the United Kingdom at some point. We knew the last Winter Olympics. I mean, if you go by the press or what you hear in the newspapers or international journals, you probably will say they should postpone it. But it was one of the successful Winter Olympics that we ever had. So the impact of that is to say, we have these challenges, leave it for the security professionals to deal with it. Let us continue to move forward. Let me ask you, at the time US were looking for the leaders of Akintola and all those things, it was an announcement that we had in the press of the eventual situation that happened in Pakistan, that they got him. But it wasn't announced. So to a great extent, security issues are not things that we should all continue to talk about in the press, and so that we give wrong impression as to what things are, where we're going to. In fact, the press, as we have in this country, also has a lot of role to play in terms of how well we disseminate information to the general public about security activities in this country. Because the moment we don't do that, we are not helping the economy to grow.